Hey guys, this is my review video for Heirs of the Force, Young Jedi Knights, Book 1 out of 14, I think. I took a really long break in between like the first half and the second half of this book, but as far as I know, the first half, like where I'd stopped reading was pretty much filler. Um, just like the introduction of characters, Jane and Jason, Tino, Tino, Tina, Tino, Ka, Lo, Lo, Loey, Loey, and names. Um, just stuff like that. And then when I started, oh, spoilers, guys. If you don't want spoilers, just click the little X in the corner of your browser. When I started reading again, they had just found the crashed Imperial TIE fighter, can't talk. And it pretty much it went from there. It's a kid's book. You can tell by the writing style and the simplicity of the plot that it's very much a kid's book. But at the same time, there is a level of excellency, in my opinion. There was a lot of things that I didn't expect in the second when I started reading today. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting this. Like, I mainly expected it to be Jane and Jason point of view, but there was Lobaka and Tina Ka and MTD. Yeah, the droid. So, that was a surprise. People sending me stuff on Skype. Basically, the plot is they find this TIE fighter in the woods of Yevon 4. In the jungles, excuse me, of Yevon 4. And they think, well, it is from right after the Death Star destruction. I was going to say explosion, but destruction of the Death Star. So they start fixing it up because they're kids. They're 14, but it reads like they're a lot younger. But I can get over that. They're kids. They're mischievous. They are playful. They don't know what they're doing, and it really comes off like that. And turns out the X-wing, the TIE fighter pilot, is not dead. He's been living in the jungles of Yevon 4 for the last 20 years. And the way I imagine this guy, it's kind of like this poor unfortunate soul that crashed into the forest, and he was a really excellent pilot back in the day, 20 years ago, of when the Death Star was destroyed. And he's been living, and he has this terribly deformed arm, and it's kind of just sad, to be honest. It's just like this, you just imagine this guy, and he's just been living, and he's basically like a wild man now, and he doesn't read like he's human. He is very much described like a droid, and it's just like all his humanity is lost, and he keeps repeating himself that surrender is weakness, I think is what the line is. Even when Han is going after Jane and Jason, because he basically he watches them fix his TIE fighter, and he's like, fix it some more. And he shows up, and he basically opens fire on these kids, and Tina Ka and Lobaka get away, but Jane and Jason are stuck. And in my opinion, he seems very old-fashioned, and you gotta imagine this guy is older now. He's been living. He's like, way I imagine he's like scraggly, and he's just like, he's probably really skinny because he's been living in the woods with no contact of human beings. He's described like a droid. I've said that already, but he lost his, basically he's lost his humanity, and you just have to feel kind of bad for him, even though he's a bad guy. I want to know where his story is going, because Jan and Jason are just like, I wonder if he managed to get home. Because he flies away in his TIE fighter that now has a hyperdrive. Because Jaina installed it. Because Han gave it to her and she installed it in the TIE fighter because she wanted it for herself. But he doesn't have any weapons. So when he goes to destroy the Yavin 4 base, he finds out that he doesn't have any weapons, and then the Millennium Falcon is like chasing him, and he's like, surrender, let me know where my kids are, blah, 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 blah. And he just jumps into hyperspace. And I don't know. I was on Wikipedia, and I just wanted to see whether this guy was human, whether this guy was alien, which I guess, considering that the Imperials have a reputation of not liking aliens, he would have to be human. But he does, like I said, he is described like a droid, and he talks like he's not human. So in a kid's book, when I just like imagine this, I'm an English major, and I guess my literary analysis is kind of coming out of me right now, but I just imagine this poor guy. Can we just like look at this cover, this beautiful cover, in my opinion, beautiful. Look at this, which I just legitimately just now noticed, to be honest. This is the guy. His name is, oh gosh, one moment. Cruel. It's just, you have to feel bad for him. Because you gotta imagine living in the forest for 20 years. I'm not even 20 yet. If I spent the next 20, like if I enrolled in the Air Force and I got stranded for 20 years, I think I would be a little messed up, and that is exactly what this guy is described. And I really want to read more about him. I really do. And I was, like I said, I was on Wikipedia, and I was looking at the appearances, and it looks like he appears in several more of these books, which I'm looking forward to finding out what happens. So this was a really quick read, because like I said, it's big font on small pages, and I was able to read 120 something pages in an hour. That's how fast I just went right through this book. But it was also very action packed when I was reading it compared to the beginning, where I was just like, oh, I don't want to read this right now. So there's nothing that I don't like about this book, because of the fact that it's an introductory book. You got to introduce your characters. You got to introduce what's going to happen, and it's doing that well. While I'm reading these, I kind of have my eras. I have my times that I read, and I'm reading right after, or I guess right like 5 years after Return of the Jedi. And then you've got my New Jedi Order book, which I'm on the second one of, which I haven't started reading yet, but that will be the next one. That will be my next book. And then we've got this era, which is right before New Jedi Order, because I think the twins are 17 in New Jedi Order, and they're 14 here. So this is like a 3-year time gap, and this is introductory, the characters that are in the New Jedi Order and a younger kid level, and I'm going to have a lot of feelings for these upcoming books. I can just feel it. It is a kid's book. You got to open your mind when it comes to that. It's a kid's book. It's not a young adult book. It's a kid's book. So that's really all I have to say. I really did like it. Like I said, I took a really long gap because I read Kenobi, and then Dark Force Rising, and The Last Command, and Heir, to the Empire and whatever else I've read and my time of being at school. So it was a very large gap, and I just stopped right before the action happened. Otherwise, I would have read this a while ago. So, I'm finally done with all my books that I'd been in the process of reading when I came to school. I'm done with them all. So now I'm on to the other books. Yay! So, I'll see you guys next time, which will be the review for, like I said in my last video, this Star Wars Omnibus Rogue Squadron Volume 2. And then Volume 3, and then I'm on to Dark Tide. And it starts all over again because, yeah. So, I'll see you guys next video. Bye.